My boss stole my patent and tried to fire me for incompetence. I have worked as a lead mechanical engineer at a mid-sized tech firm for 6 years. I am the guy who stays late, fixes the glitches no one else can find, and keeps my head down. My boss, Marcus, is the opposite. He is a corporate climber who spends more time on LinkedIn and at golf courses than he does in the lab. He barely understands the physics behind our products, but he is great at taking credit for the hard work of his team. 8 months ago, I developed a new cooling system for high-performance servers. It was a breakthrough that solved a heat dissipation issue the industry has been struggling with for a decade. I showed the prototypes to Marcus in private, thinking he would help me present them to the board for a patent filing. He told me the design was flawed and needed a lot more work before it was ready for eyes higher up the chain. He took my blueprints and told me to focus on my core duties while he looked over the math. 3 weeks ago, our company announced a massive new patent filing for a revolutionary cooling system. I attended the company-wide meeting thinking I would finally see my name on the screen. Instead, I saw Marcus standing there in a $1,000 suit, beaming as the CEO praised him for his visionary invention. He had filed the patent in his name only, listing me as a junior assistant who helped with basic data entry. When I confronted him in his office, he didn't even flinch. He told me that since I used company equipment, the intellectual property belonged to the firm, and since he was the department head, it was his prerogative whose name went on the lead line. Then he looked me in the eye and said that my performance reviews had been slipping lately, and that maybe I wasn't senior material anymore. He was trying to push me out so I wouldn't be around to remind everyone who actually did the work. What Marcus doesn't know is that I'm not as stupid as I look. I knew exactly who I was working for. When I showed him those final blueprints 8 months ago, I intentionally left out a critical calibration constant in the thermal regulation code. On paper and in a small-scale prototype, it looks perfect. But once the system is manufactured at scale and hits a certain workload threshold, the sensors will misread the temperature and trigger a hard emergency shutdown. I waited until the patent was officially approved, and the company had already signed a $50 million distribution deal with a major data center provider. Marcus was already talking about his innovation award and his upcoming promotion to vice president. He spent the last 2 weeks treating me like a janitor, making me fetch his coffee and mocking my lack of ambition in front of the interns. Yesterday was the final stress test for the first production run. The CEO, the investors, and the clients were all there to watch the Marcus cooling system in action. Marcus was strutting around the server room like he was Steve Jobs. He pushed the button to start the high-load simulation. I stood in the back with my arms crossed, watching the monitors. 4 minutes into the test, the server racks started screaming. The fans kicked into overdrive, but because of the missing constant in the code, the system thought the servers were freezing and shut down the cooling pumps entirely. Within seconds, the entire test bank overheated and fried $60,000 worth of hardware in front of the most important clients we have. Marcus panicked. He started punching keys and shouting at me to fix it. I just stood there and told him I didn't know how because it was his invention, and I was just a junior assistant who handled data entry. The CEO was purple with rage, asking Marcus why the fail-safes didn't trigger. Marcus started stammering about a glitch, but the clients were already walking out, calling the whole project a disaster and a liability. I handed in my resignation this morning. Before I left, I sent an email to the CEO and the legal department with the original, time-stamped blueprints from my private cloud, complete with the correct math that I accidentally forgot to give to Marcus. I also attached the audio recording of Marcus telling me he stole the credit because I was just a worker bee. Marcus is currently under internal investigation for fraud and gross negligence, and the company is facing a massive lawsuit from the investors. My phone has been ringing all day with calls from our biggest competitor offering me a director position and a signing bonus that makes my old salary look like pocket change. I hope Marcus enjoys explaining to his golf buddies why his visionary career just went up in smoke.